everything changed. Literally, in a matter of seconds. Destiny was completely rewritten and a championship window was violently slammed shut before it ever truly had the chance to open. I want you to picture the visitors' locker room, deep inside Gillette Stadium, right after the AFC Championship game. Just dead silence. Grown men, absolute warriors, just staring blankly at the floor. You could feel the realization washing over them that a generational season was just completely stolen by a freak twist of fate. Welcome to NFL Nexus. I'm your host, and today we're diving into an explainer of one of the most intense, highly anticipated roster reloads in modern football history. Real quick before we get into it, please subscribe to the channel, like this explainer, and comment below on what you thought. You can also truly support the channel by becoming a channel member. Okay, let's dive into this, because right now, the Denver Broncos are currently operating in the shadows. They are fueled by a heartbreak so profound it has literally reshaped the entire DNA of their franchise. You see, the 2026 season isn't just another year in Mile High, it's a cinematic revenge tour. And the front office? Well, they're acting with a terrifying sense of urgency. Speed, 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 playmaking ability. You hear that? Those are the cold, calculated words of Denver's superstar cornerback Pat Surtain II. And listen, he isn't just hyping up a new teammate here. He's issuing a very clear, very direct warning to the rest of the league. The Broncos aren't just trying to patch up a few holes this offseason. No, they are actively weaponizing their roster. They are hunting for the singular trait that terrifies defensive coordinators more than absolutely anything else: pure, unadulterated speed. Think about the mechanics of a modern NFL defense for a second. Defensive coordinators, they want to sit and split safety shells, right? Cover two, quarters. The goal is keeping everything in front of them to prevent the big play. But when you introduce Olympic-level speed onto the perimeter, you completely break those traditional coverage rules. Suddenly, safeties have to bail out of their backpedal a fraction of a second earlier. Linebackers are stretched way thinner over the middle of the field. Pure speed dictates the terms of engagement. But to really understand why the Broncos are so aggressively rearming their offense and defense with lethal game-breaking talent, we kind of have to look back at the absolute devastation that forced their hand.
Section 1. A Dream Deferred. The Tragedy of 2025.
So this is where the story takes a really dark, serious turn. Because the Broncos wasn't just a good team last year. They were an absolute juggernaut on a collision course with destiny, right up until the very moment it was all ripped away. Let's trace this timeline so you can see just how rapidly a season can completely unravel. Week 18. The Broncos secure the AFC's #1 overall seed. Vance Joseph had engineered one of the most suffocating defenses in all of football. We're talking exotic, simulated pressures, highly disguised coverages, and an aggressive front that was collapsing pockets at a historic rate. And on the other side of the ball, Sean Payton was calling an absolute masterclass on offense, utilizing a perfectly balanced attack. Then comes the divisional round. They conquer the Buffalo Bills in this massive, high-stakes primetime victory. The Super Bowl is literally just one game away. The city of Denver is electric. And then, Conference Championship Week arrives, just a routine practice rep, and the unthinkable happens. Quarterback Bo Nix, the absolute engine of this entire operation, drops back, the pocket collapses awkwardly, and he breaks his ankle. In a fraction of a second, all that euphoria just vanishes. The snap of a bone echoing across the practice field instantly alters NFL history. So the Broncos are forced to walk into the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots without their general. And look, they fight valiantly, they really do. But ultimately, they suffer a heartbreaking, soul-crushing loss. The 2025 season died not because they were outplayed, not because they lacked heart, but because they were robbed by the cruelest injury imaginable. And that bitter taste, it has entirely consumed their offseason.
Section 2. Iron Sharpens Iron. The Reunion of Surtain and Waddle.
The front office knew they couldn't just run it back. They needed to evolve, man. They needed a massive, dynamic shift to ensure that if they reach the mountaintop again, absolutely no one can stop them. And that brings us to the most visceral, explosive edition of the 2026 offseason, which brilliantly illustrates the human element behind this massive acquisition. We're looking at a reunion that honestly borders on cinematic. Pat Surtain and new star wide receiver Jaylen Waddle. These aren't just two elite NFL players, they are former college roommates. Surtain recently reflected on this, and he painted this incredibly vivid picture of two young, hungry athletes just going at it every single day on the sweltering, hot, 100-degree practice fields of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Back then, it was Waddle's explosive stop-and-start route-running mechanics clashing head-on against Surtain's suffocating, jam-at-the-line press coverage technique. They bled together, they made each other first-round draft picks. They used to talk late at night about eventually becoming teammates in the pros. And well, now? They are grown men,
established superstars, stepping onto the practice field in the thin, exhausting altitude of Denver, Colorado. That unbearable humidity of Alabama has been replaced by the intense, oxygen-deprived wars of Broncos training camp. Two heavyweights, guarding each other, pushing each other to the absolute biological limit. Iron sharpens iron, day in and day out.
But Waddle brings far, far more than just a good storyline and blazing 4.3 speed. The data from Sports Info Solutions paints a staggering picture. 88%. Think about that number. So the crucial point is this. When the football was deemed catchable, Jalen Waddle caught it 88% of the time. To put that into perspective for you, the league average for wide receivers on catchable targets usually hovers in the low to mid-70s, depending on the depth of the target. An 88% catch rate on downfield throws is highly anomalous. It's almost unheard of. It requires elite hand-eye coordination, the ability to track the football over either shoulder at a full dead sprint, and just supreme concentration at the catch point. In a league where drop passes, kill drives, flip momentum, and literally end seasons, Waddle is an absolute machine of reliability. He's basically a safety blanket wrapped in Olympic-level speed.
When we're evaluating true dominance, yards per route run is one of the absolute most telling indicators of a receiver's raw efficiency and overall threat level, because it strips away all the context of total passing volume and simply asks, how productive are you every single time you snap the ball and run a route? Well, Waddle ranks 15th overall in the entire National Football League in this metric. Consider the magnitude of the names he is outpacing here. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, George Kittle, A.J. Brown. These are the consensus titans of the sport. The national media might not always put Waddle's name in that exact same breath, but the cold, hard data, it absolutely does. And remember, he was putting up these otherworldly efficiency numbers while sharing the field in Miami. Every single time he runs a route, he is generating elite, top-tier offensive output that defensive coordinators simply cannot ignore.
So, what does this all mean for Sean Payton's offensive architecture? It is legitimately terrifying for the rest of the AFC. Denver now officially possesses two true wide receiver ones. On one side, you have Courtland Sutton, this dominant, towering physical presence who just wins contested catches on the boundary. And now he's paired with Jalen Waddle, who boasts an elite 9.1 yards per target, the 18th best in the entire league. Historically, if you look back at Sean Payton's most lethal offenses, think back to his prime years in New Orleans. They always featured a massive physical presence, like a Marcus Colston, paired perfectly with an explosive, dynamic threat that stretched the field horizontally and vertically. It's a nightmare scenario. Because if a defense decides to play two high safeties and bracket Waddle to stop that deep speed, Sutton will physically dismantle single coverage on the outside with his massive catch radius. But if they drop down to double Sutton, well, Waddle will effortlessly outrun that single high safety for a 60-yard touchdown. It's a deadly pick-your-poison nightmare that is mathematically designed to score fast and score often.
Section 3. Unleashing the Edge. The ticking time bomb of Drew Sanders.
But look, an explosive offense is only half the equation in the AFC. To navigate the gauntlet and actually win a championship, you must violently hunt the opposing quarterback. And the Broncos are sitting on a massive, dormant weapon that has been completely forgotten by the rest of the league, mostly due to brutal injury luck. We need to talk about the edge position. Defined simply as an outside linebacker or defensive end tasked primarily with rushing the quarterback, setting the boundary against the run, and collapsing the pocket. It's a premium, franchise-altering position in this league. And Sean Payton recently revealed that Drew Sanders, their highly touted 2023 third-round pick out of Arkansas, is officially transitioning to the edge. Now, at Arkansas, Sanders was a versatile off-ball linebacker who was incredibly effective when sent on interior blitzes. Moving to the edge, that's an entirely different mechanical beast. It means changing your stance. It means putting your hand in the dirt. It means mastering a 2-point or 3-point stance, firing off the snap with explosive bend, and hand-fighting offensive tackles who outweigh you by 60 to 80 pounds. But Denver is simplifying his mission. Use your elite, freakish physical traits, pin your ears back, and get to the quarterback.
Just listen to the cautious relief in head coach Sean Payton's voice when discussing him at minicamp. Quote, a young player that, knock on wood, we feel like is really talented and staying healthy, end quote. The gravity of that statement is heavy. Sanders' entire 2025 season was completely wiped out by a devastating injury in training camp before the season even began. He's basically been fighting a ghost for the last calendar year. And the grueling nature of NFL rehab, it is isolating. It's spending thousands of hours alone in the trainer's room, rebuilding yourself muscle fiber by muscle fiber, all while watching your brothers go on a deep playoff run to the AFC Championship game without you.
It takes a massive psychological toll. But Peyton's feedback is crystal clear here. Sanders hasn't lost a step. He's instinctive. He immediately processes the pre-snap alignment. He executes the assignment. And most importantly, his body is finally fully healthy and ready for violence.
Let's really contextualize just how untapped this kid's potential is. Over a 3-year career, Sanders has played a mere 21 games, started only 4, and logged just 656 total snaps. His career numbers are incredibly quiet, just 32 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a single sack. But beneath those quiet career totals lies a staggering metric, 70. In a very brief 4-game stint in 2024, his Pro Football Focus pass rush grade was a very solid 70 overall. And let me tell you, a grade of 70 isn't just handed out. It requires a high pass rush win rate, the ability to consistently beat your blocker within 2.5 seconds, and successfully converting speed to power at the point of attack. That number represents raw, unrefined capability. It proves that when he is actually on the field, the athletic talent seamlessly translates to professional production. He has an astronomical, untapped ceiling. If this ticking time bomb finally detonates in 2026, Vance Joseph's defensive front becomes exponentially more terrifying.
Section 4. The Underrated General. Bo Nix versus the Class of 2024.
Now, we zoom out to the most critical position in all of sports, the quarterback. And this is where the narrative surrounding the Denver Broncos becomes absolutely fascinating and, frankly, a bit perplexing. Because despite everything this young quarterback has achieved, the national media is stubbornly looking the other way. Look at this striking assessment from Danny Parkins at Fox Sports. Bo Nix has more wins than all of them, more touchdowns than all of them, and more yards than all of them. Parkins is aggressively pointing out a massive disconnect between media hype and on-field reality. When pundits talk about the 2024 quarterback class, the conversation immediately orbits around Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels, right? The media is obsessed with the flashy tools, the crazy off-platform throws, the viral highlight reel scrambles. But Nix? He operates with surgical precision. He processes pre-snap disguises instantly, diagnoses the blitz, and gets the ball out in 2.2 seconds flat. Yet he is constantly treated as an afterthought in the national dialogue. Parkins rightfully argues that Nix is desperately underserved in the marketplace of public perception.
When we compare the cold, hard, indisputable facts, the disrespect becomes glaring. We see Bo Nix compared directly against Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. Now let's be fair and deeply acknowledge the context here. Drake May had a spectacular season that put him near the top of the MVP conversation, and Williams and Daniels both possess high-end, franchise-altering physical traits. We know that. But look at the total output. Nix sits at the absolute top of the mountain in wins. He leads them in total touchdowns. He paces them in passing yards. Think back to that defining late-game drive in 2025. Down by 4 points, under 2 minutes left, no timeouts, and the opposing defense pinning their ears back. Nix didn't panic. He engineered a 12-play, 80-yard surgical strike to win the game, showing absolute ice in his veins. Bo Nix led his team to the #1 overall seed in the AFC. He has the unwavering trust of Sean Payton to run a highly complex offensive system. He has proven late-game heroics, stepping up and delivering strikes when the stadium lights are blindingly bright. Yet he's entirely overlooked. But make no mistake, that lack of respect isn't a detriment to Nix. It is high-octane fuel for the fire.
Section 5. Vengeance in Mile High. The league is sleeping.
We are looking at a perfect storm brewing in Colorado. A franchise deeply scarred by a devastating fluke injury that literally robbed them of a Super Bowl appearance. A legendary head coach heavily arming his offensive scheme with one of the most reliable, explosive speedsters in the modern game in Jalen Waddle, creating an unguardable wide receiver tandem. An aggressive defense preparing to unleash a healthy, dynamic edge rusher in Drew Sanders who is desperate to prove his worth, and a highly productive surgical quarterback who is exhausted from being treated like a second-class citizen in his own draft class. Which leaves us with this final haunting question. The national media is completely focused elsewhere. The league is looking the other way, hypnotized by flashy names and drama in other divisions, but with this elite reload, this massive chip on their shoulder, and a roster perfectly optimized for Sean Payton's ultimate vision, are the Denver Broncos already the team to beat in the AFC? I want you to really think about that. Before you go, make sure you hit subscribe, like this explainer, and comment your thoughts below on whether you think Denver is the true sleeping giant of the NFL. Support the channel by becoming a channel member of NFL Nexus. I'm your host, and until next time, keep your eyes on Mile High.